amazingly.
You hope.
It's just loading. Watch it be perfectly timed where he comes back at 5 o'clock on the dot.
All right.
All right, I guess, let me see if we're actually, I guess we must be live.
Firstly, I just
streaming live on Facebook. All right, so let's go.
All right,
ready?
we're live. We all live.
All right, what's up, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Police Off the Cuff After Hours. My name is Mark DeMeo. I'm your host. Along with me today is my co-host, my partner in all things law enforcement, Bill Cannon. What's up, Bill?
Say the very handsome Bill Cannon. Would you stop saying that?
The very handsome Bill Cannon.
All right, thank you. Because I'm used to that. When I don't hear that, I don't know if we should start the show or
not. we have a very exciting guest.
Wait, before you go, I got to give a shout out to some guy. And you have to also push our Patreon. Don't think, let me just give a shout out, first of all, to Joe Locus. He is a New York City cop who became disabled. He went down to North Carolina. He runs an organization now that helps out with PTSD. He just joined our dipped in butter level on our Patreon. So he really knows what it's like to have him dipped in butter now, you know? I told him I'd give a shout out to him. In fact, Amanda, he says he knows you too.
He does?
Through his work with PTSD, yes. So I don't want to step on Mark because he has a whole introductory thing he does. I just wanted to give Joe Locus a shout out. He lives in Gorda, Florida. So that's it. That's all you got, Joe. That's the shout out.
Well, thank you, Joe, for supporting us, and to all our fans out there, where we're getting a few trickling in every day Patreon customers. And we appreciate you. You're helping us spread the word. And our guest today is going to help us more spread the word to help out law enforcement. But before we go there, for two things. First, I want to apologize for my shirt. Normally, we don't record at 5 o'clock. We record at 7. And on Mondays, I do like a cosplay. And it's a Miami Vice cosplay. And I do the I'm Don Johnson in it. So.
Yeah, you just dress like that all the time.
Where'd you get that haircut? Would you get a free bowl of soup with that haircut?
I got the lollipop instead. I went with the lollipop. But yeah, so we're doing the Patreon thing right now, and we have a lot of fans of the show that have been tuning in for about a year right now. We want you guys to come on board. We got exciting stuff that's going on behind the wall. Bill right now has put up his first episode of a true crime. He'll tell you about it with Michael O'Keefe. I'm in the process of recording a weekly. I don't want to say current event thing. I'm still trying to think of a title for it. But maybe you guys can help me out if you want to send in suggestions. We're going to talk about the week in law enforcement. That could be it too. But so, Bill, what do you want to give us? Help us with the Patreon. Tell us.
Okay, we have 3 levels, 3 tiers. The first tier is the bucket, and you don't want to be in the bucket because that's only $7.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
It's a derogatory thing being called the bucket. The second level costs $9. That's polish my rack as my metal rack. Being a cop. And the third one is the one you really want to be in, and that's dipped in butter. Because if you've ever dipped them in butter, you know how it feels.
Who came up with these names?
It feels so good. And you notice I didn't say what's being dipped in butter, but you got an idea. So the dipped in butter costs $11 a month, and believe me, the $11 dipping them in butter is worth it.
We'll come back to the Patreon later on and tell you how to get on board. But I don't want to leave our guest here. She's coming in all the way from Dublin, Ireland.
How you doing, guys? I'm so sorry. My buddy just joined me. My dog he's just started coming in. Sorry about that. He wants to get on the action.
Get him on board.
Oh, that could be dangerous.
What kind of dog is that?
Yeah.
The German Shepherd.
Oh, shit.
His name's Rookie, funny enough. He's the Rookie family.
Joining us from Ireland is Amanda Coleman. She is the founder of the Irish Angel, which is a nonprofit, Amanda?
It is. It's a 501c3.
And basically, she's doing a ton of great stuff for law enforcement, for first responders, for military. So she's here to tell us all about it. And I know that you're based in New York, right?
Yeah, our office is in New York.
Sure, but you're in Dublin.
Dublin, yeah. But it's good that I can do everything virtually, so it's great. Like, you know,
You know, Temple Bar must be a graveyard right now.
oh, you've no idea. It's dead. Like there's actual live cameras you can zoom into Temple Bar at any time, and it's like
so
a ghost.
You could just drink in your house and the tears run down your face.
Well, I wouldn't be drinking a Temple Bar anyway.
I love
the
Rory
tourist
Gallagher.
place.
You like the guitarist Rory Gallagher? We call him
Yeah.
Gallagher. Irish call him Gallagher.
Gallagher.
We call him Gallagher. He was one of the greatest blues guitarists, and they have a street in Temple Bar named after him.
It's amazing. It's funny. There's up around that whole district. There's a lot of places there that's dedicated to Irish musicians for sure.
Yeah,
you know, including
I love the music there. You know.
Yeah, it's
and
good.
Actually,
it's great.
The best music was in Doon and Dingle.
Oh, really? You're in Dingle?
Yeah, I loved it there.
Rocking it in Dingle, huh?
It's like I came home.
Beautiful.
And they said, "Oh, you must be Squire Cannon."
It's great. I love Dingle. Dingle's beautiful. Kerry itself is it's great fun and it's beautiful. So it's one of the nicest parts of
the in the terrier, like a language that I.
Look at you.
That's like the Irish national anthem, right? The town I love so well. Right?
Exactly. You'll have to come over here once all this COVID nonsense is over.
I would love to, man. I love drinking.
We'll take you to all the spit and sawdust places.
And Mark's Dominican, and he's no stranger to the sauce either.
Sure, it's allowed.
New York before?
Sorry?
Did you live in New York before?
No, I didn't. My sister lives in New York, though. She's out there in Long Island. She has a place in Manhattan as well, but with all that's going on in Manhattan, she's rarely there. She stays on out in Long Island, you know, so it's all good. I love New York, so I miss it.
New York, you settle in the Bronx in Norwood, you fit right in.
You think?
Yeah. Norwood?
I'd love to go. I've never been in the Bronx. That's one place in New York I haven't been in.
You don't want to go everywhere in the Bronx, but in Norwood would be all right.
Good.
It's all Irish, yeah. The whole neighborhood's Irish.
But it's amazing because nearly everybody is Irish. That's the one thing I love about America. And it's funny, like when you talk to a lot of Americans, and they're always like, they claim like they have it may only be like 1% of being Irish, but they cling on to that and they know their history, like they know everything. I had to be blown away because nowadays, if you were to ask someone, a kid from here, history on Ireland, he'd be like, yeah. You know, like, so it's nice to hear people that it's a culture that's, even though it is only a tiny little percentage of someone's genetics, they still know their history and they still have the crack and, you know, they claim heritage to that and it's great.
I didn't know that Van Morrison was Irish until I was.
Yeah, he doesn't sound Irish, or he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He
Well,
does.
he's got the bad attitude of an Irishman that needs a cocktail.
He does. He's got a temper. He's known for that.
Brilliant, though. I love his music.
I love his music. I do. I love it. When I was
driving through, I think it was Doon or Dingle, there was a sign tonight. This was years ago. Noel Redding, and Noel Redding was the bass player for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And he was Irish. And
that's got. Did you go see him?
This little bar. And I was like, holy shit, look at this, you know?
Did you go see him?
No. I didn't go see him. I just thought it was cool that he was playing there, you know?
Yeah, no, for such a small, tiny little country, we sure have made an impact when it comes to musicians and just in general, like when I was, because you talk to a lot of people doing this from across the whole world, and when you're talking to people, like I said, they always claim their heritage to Ireland.
Right.
And you're going to yourself, for such a tiny country, we made a big splash all the same. You know what I mean? Like,
good, yeah.
It's amazing, like, to think that everybody from some corner of the world has Irish in them. It's gas.
Well, you know, unless you really learn like the history and the culture and all of that stuff. Like I grew up, my great grandparents were from Ireland, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, typical Irishman. My grandfather was a fireman. My father was a cop, and then I became a cop. Couldn't figure out what else to do.
Look at you now.
We didn't own any horses like back in the old country, so we couldn't raise
hosting
horses.
shows and talking butterballs now.
And I was a bartender too. How's that for Irish, right?
Well, Amanda, why don't you tell us a little bit about Irish Angel?
Yeah, Irish Angel was founded because I have family in law enforcement here in Ireland, and it's very different.
Could you say how they pronounce the Garda?
An Garda Síochána.
A Garda Síochána.
Yeah.
And that stands for Guardians of the Peace, right?
Of the Peace, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
I never knew how to pronounce it.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a tongue twister. Yeah. The Irish language, even to read it, doesn't sound like it reads. It's weird. But anyway, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I'm born here, huh? It's funny, but yeah. So it was founded because we were having a hard time here in Ireland. We had protests going on, and cops were being targeted. Their homes was being targeted and everything. So I was really annoyed, and it's very different because in America you can talk about these things. In Ireland you can't. Like any of the stuff that goes out into the newspapers or anything like that is released from the Garda press office. So you can't jeopardize your job by talking about it outside of work. So it annoyed me. It really annoyed me. And my cousin had said to me, Amanda, he says, you need to see what's happening in the States. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, cops are being ambushed in their cars. And funny enough, it was 4 years ago. It was in the run up to the elections. And so I went online and I seen what was happening, and I was blown away because we're I suppose we're shielded from all that. We don't see that here. So I was shocked. I couldn't believe it, because it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you have blue in your family, blue is blue, and the person behind the badge. So when I seen that happening, that affected me, even though I'm not from there.
Right.
So and then I was seeing the hatred towards them online. These organizations, Black Lives Matter, were huge at the time then too. It's funny, they seem to come and they seem to go within 4 years, every 4 years. So I went on to LinkedIn and I started to post messages of support, and it just blossomed from there. Like I was being inundated with mails from across the States thanking me for what I was doing.
You have 43,000 followers on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You think they're all going to join our Patreon?
I'll get them on. They love me. It's like we all have this massive
Amanda
big
says join dipped in butter.
Like dipped in butterballs.
That's right.
Get on and get your butterballs.
No, we need more women to join dipped in butter, because according to our page, only 12% of our fans are women. So we need more women to.
We get the women on. I'll get them on.
I was going to make Mark wear his Speedo during this podcast, but he wouldn't do it.
Well, seeing as he's representing, what was it, Miami Vice? Get the Speedos out. The booty smugglers.
He doesn't even know what to say. He's embarrassed.
No, you say nothing. Say nothing until you hear more. But yeah, so it just kind of grew from there. And a SWAT team got together and gave me an honorary call sign that was Irish Angel. So I turned it into a website that was going to be a safe place for people to go and be able to blog and talk about situations. And along the way, I learned about how bad PTSD affects law enforcement. We always associate it with veterans and that sort of thing. But I started to see then that the suicides go up every single year, and I was going, this ain't right, and PTSD actually runs in my family. It's something that's very close to my heart. So that, coupled with it being law enforcement, just made me want to do something to help, But I had to educate myself as well, because America's a very different place to Ireland. Even though we're the same sort of people, we're very different in how we think. I had to learn about the Constitution. You have to learn about the American way, and that politics goes hand in hand with everything over there. It's unbelievable. The amount of, I had no idea. In Ireland, when we vote people in, you're voting them in, and you don't really hear much more about it apart from the day-to-day politics. And even then, no one really bats an eyelid about. So, but it's all so consuming in America. So
Now-
yeah,
Now it
go
is.
ahead.
Now it is. It wasn't
Yes.
like this.
It's
The
crazy.
Could probably make a statement. I mean, before Trump, Obama maybe even, and there was less and less as you went back in presidents, but maybe you'd hear from the president once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the way it is here. It's like,
Month.
yeah.
But now it's not only just once a day. It's 5, 10 times a day.
Yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok.
Everywhere.
It's all over.
Everywhere.
It's bombardment with constant news, that
It
you don't
is. It is. And it's a lot of news, I guess, in a way, I over here, you probably know this, you've been here, right? Over here, it's you have to keep in mind, we're very shielded from what's actually going on. And Ireland is a very liberal social country anyway, because we signed up to the EU. And to me, as far as I'm personally concerned, that was a wrong thing for us to do, because we lost our own identity in a way. We're not the Ireland of old, and I miss that. I genuinely do. And I think that's why I'm a little bit, a little bit more passionate about helping you guys out, and as in spreading word about, because it's all, the grass is always greener from the other side, right? It's great in hindsight to join this, to be all be the same, and everybody benefit from. It doesn't work that way, right? It really doesn't. Our healthcare system is a mess, and there's loads of other things. There's immigration problems. It's just, it doesn't work. It really does. Like, that's why I'm so passionate about you guys holding on to what's dear to you, the American way, your freedoms. Like, it's something that we've lost, as far as I'm concerned. So I get bothered when I see everybody trying to be the same and be all under one rule. We're not. We're all. It's what makes us unique.
Amanda, what's happened in the last few years is that if you were for a certain politician, but say you were a Republican, people didn't even want to listen to your opinion, because they right away they had that, and they could paralyze a conversation by just saying racist.
Yes.
That word just like ends the conversation. So if everything's racist, nothing's racist.
Exactly. But God, where is the days, right? Where is the days where we could all have a laugh? If something was said, you'd laugh about it. There was no, people were just kinder to each other. We all had a bit of banter. Now you're afraid to say anything in case you offend someone. You're like,
I love that word, banter. That's so nice.
It's a good old Irish phrase. I love the banter. You have to have a bit of crack, right? But
about what you said was that you said you went back like 4 years ago or something like that, or I don't know how many years ago you said about Black Lives Matter coming over there and things changing, and it's almost like they practice on a smaller country first.
It is. It's
not the same thing as come over here. So you might have been the trial run, and that's where we're going. Because no, the truth is, you mentioned, I'm a comedian. Bill's a comedian, stand up. There's virtually no comedy going on over here. It's shut down. Anything that has to do with freedom of speech is
shut down.
Everybody's just reading their own, whatever side they fall on, their own news. So nobody really
is becoming impartial and seeing both sides of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you differ from opinion, then you're going to get shut down. And this is
exactly.
Like, you just get kicked off of your platform, or you get suspended or something like that. And it's just because you have a difference of opinion from the person that's running that platform.
Exactly. And I find that offensive in itself, because it makes us, it's like a control thing. It's like they want to control every aspect about what we say. If it doesn't fit their agenda, we're off. You know what I mean? And the thing that gets me is I was that person. I was the Obama lover, because over here, he was God. We even have a place called after the man. But it was only when I did my homework and I realized, listen, who and what I support, he has divided, and he has segregated, and he has cut people, like the military. Like, I mean, he destroyed that by cutting all the military. It was ridiculous, right? So I weighed up the pros and cons of who had the best argument when it came to helping law enforcement, first responders, and the military. And that for me was Trump. And I was never a Trump lover either. Like, don't get me wrong. I've kind of grown to like him. I think he's quite funny as a person. Like, he actually makes me laugh. But, you know, at the same token, everybody had this persona about him, and they still have it here. And that's why I don't like posting political stuff, but I like to post it now, just because we're so conditioned here to what we see on the news. Like, we don't get Fox News, we don't get anything like that. So it's all one-sided.
You don't get it.
Sorry?
What do you mean you don't get it?
We had it here, and just after the election last year, they pulled it from our networks.
Wow.
So you'd have to go online to see it?
I have to go online to see it. Yeah, and you know, Dr. Darren Porcher, like, I love his videos and stuff, but I have to wait till he sends me the links for them, because I can't see them online because they're not up in time.
Amanda,
You know, so
is there a huge crowd right now in Temple Ball watching this on a big screen?
Hopefully, log on and have a look.
You're gonna take care of that.
Imagine, could you imagine?
Like on the Jumbotron. This is live from the boat.
It'd be great crack, wouldn't it? It'd be great fun. I'd like to be down there having a few. For sure. I actually miss being like that. You go out and be social, like even going down to the store and not having to stick a stupid mask on your face, you know. It's just,
I know, it's true. Today was the first day my gym was open, but you had to wear a mask, and I was only like 4 people in the gym, and I was one of them. So as you can see, I'm semi-shredded today, more than I.
You're ripped.
I'm ripped up from a half-hour workout.
I love it. But hey, you're doing it. Hopefully now things will start to open a bit more, you know. Kids are going back to school next week, so that's something.
That's a big controversy too. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's live, but they go to school, you know.
They need that social interaction. I don't care how many Zoom meetings you have, your kids need that social interaction. Otherwise, you know, they just end up on computer games. They can't go out and play.
Yeah, but the teachers, they don't want to go back, because if they go back to teaching, then who's going to protest at night?
That's
a fact.
It's quarters of the Antifa members are teachers.
This is it. Isn't that just so messed up? Because these are the people influencing our kids.
We're going to get some hate mail from the teachers union, but they're no friends of the Popo either. They're no friends of the cops. The hate mail.
Defund the police.
Fund the police.
The teachers union voted to defund the police.
Yeah, exactly. So teachers, go back to school and earn your paycheck.
Exactly. You just have to laugh at these people. They're hilarious. Like, it's like you wind them up and watch them go. It was only today I posted about Mayor Lightfoot. Isn't that her name in Chicago? How she's a piece of work, right? But she was calling for not only the defunding of police, but the dismantling of police. And then she had the gall to say that she wants the police to protect her street. I'm like, hell to no. You know, your constituency is more important than your damn street, right? Well, not in her eyes. So I posted it up on LinkedIn. I woke up this morning and it had something like 1,000 and something comments on it. And these people were absolutely going to town on the post. Like, it was ridiculous. But there was this one particular person, and his slogan underneath was, what, big white microphone for Black Lives Matter. And he absolutely ripped into everybody. So I basically told him where to go, you know, but and he's very well educated. I did it in a very nice, polite way, but in a very irritating way. And I kept watching.
Carry a big shillelagh.
I know, right? I kept watching his posts coming, and I could now, you know what liberals do, right? You know how they go from shouting to screaming, right? So I could just picture the vest popping in his neck and shit. I was like, right, that's it. I was like, that's it. He's supposed to. How was that?
Quote science if it agrees with their position, but if the science disproves their position, they don't mention science.
No, the facts don't. They don't want to know facts.
Oh, you know? Science. You know, science. I believe science. Really?
What was it Biden said? Science over facts, or was something science over fiction. Or fiction over, oh God, I can't remember now. But I have it up on my up on my Facebook page anyway, the video of him saying
You have
it.
to have those sayings on your wall like a.
Oh my God, facts. He's a lula. It's crazy what's going on. Isn't it like watching a movie though? It's like every single day you wake up and there's something a little bit more bizarre than the previous day.
How is the goddess Sachana, if I say it correctly, how are they respected in Ireland?
Pretty good. Like, in fairness, the guards are great here. It's a very different beast here. It's like, you know, we as you know, we don't carry firearms. We have certain groups within law enforcement who do.
Right.
But crime here is just starting to go crazy. I'd say in the last 3 years, like we have guns. Jesus, I think there was a rocket propelled launcher and all caught in Dublin Port. You know, it's just there's gangs, drug wars going on, and people shooting each other left, right, and centre. But yeah, our police they're not protected. They wear stab-proof vests rather than bulletproof vests, and no guns, and not proper training either. Like, you know, so we need to kick ourselves into this century and take
When
a leap.
I was in Dublin and I took a walk on Grafton Street, I saw a lot of heroin junkies.
Yeah, a lot of them. You know, but now we have centres where they can go and inject themselves. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that.
Can you guys hear me?
Sorry?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I was going to ask you that about the drugs. What kind of drugs do they do in Ireland? Like, is heroin, is that what's big there? Do they
Heroin, meth, crack, everything. They have everything.
It's the same.
Yeah, same thing. It's just insane. And you guys know as well, and I kind of pity, I actually pity Air Force because we don't have the training that you guys do. Like, your training is unreal. And I have to laugh at these people saying that the police need to be retrained. I'm going, you want to live in this country and see the training that the cops get. They don't get much at all. And it's not their fault. It's, you know, it is what it is here. But when you're up against someone who's on meth, you know the strength that they have. It's unreal, you know, and they have to go in there and fight to save their own lives and to get this beast under control, right?
Even stronger than me after a half-hour workout.
You're a tank.
I was pumping those 40-pound dumbbells today.
So was I. So was I. In me dreams. But yeah, the drugs thing is rampant here. It's crazy.
Well, you guys have a big alcohol problem there too, like everywhere else in the world too.
The funny, not as bad. Like, in fairness, like Ireland of old, I'd have said yeah, but like the Ireland of today is very different. I don't see it the way it once was. Like, people can take or leave a drink now, and you know, that's such a good thing, where before that's the one thing we're really known for is a good old supping, right? But
well, if you go to an AA meeting in Ireland, will it be packed or will be two guys there?
I don't know. I've never been. Funny enough, not yet. Anyway,
sometimes to do stand-up comedy.
They probably hold it in the pub.
You can get like a half hour, and then you gotta go.
They probably hold the AA meetings in the pub.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be one bit surprised.
Quiet down. We're gonna have a minute to sober up, and then we'll get back to drinking. And then
we get back to you.
The whole
I'll start again next week.
And the whole social life in Ireland is built around the pubs, right?
It's not anymore. It used to be. When the recession hit that time, it made everybody reevaluate their life, I suppose, in a way, because one, people couldn't afford to go out drinking anymore. If you went out to the pub, that was on a special occasion. You know, people would have a few beers at home. That's just the way it was. And I think that kind of somehow changed our culture slightly. So you wouldn't, like, since the recession, I don't go to the pubs. I only go out if it's a special occasion. Like, you know, I don't, if I'm going for a bite to eat, a lot of the time, the pubs over here now survive off the food they serve rather than the drink they serve.
Wow.
So it's very different. It's a very different culture now. Very different.
That's crazy.
So I won't be going to AA just yet.
Let me ask you something. If someone in law enforcement has, say, a PTSD problem, or they have some real horrendous health problem and the department that they're on won't help them, how can they get help through you and your organization?
Well, the organization was designed basically from, I did a lot of research. I went over to the States last year, and I went around a couple of treatment centers. And I was very blessed. I sat in on a thing called Wrap Up, where people come in and they leave. And for me, seeing that alone and seeing people at their most vulnerable stage, and then seeing somebody when they're leaving, it was just incredible. Like what those 6 weeks did was just, it was amazing. So I wanted to do something to help. So I spoke with a lot of the organizers of these companies, and I was, what can we do to help? If we make this a 501, I want to be very proactive in how we help law enforcement, first responders, the military, just because, don't get me wrong, there's tons and tons of nonprofits out there who are there to raise awareness, and there's never enough awareness can be raised surrounding this kind of thing. But I wanted to be very proactive in how we helped people. So we got to talking, and a couple of places are very good. They run scholarship schemes for people who can't afford it if their insurance doesn't cover it, because not all insurance companies cover the costs of something like addiction or something like PTSD or, that sort of thing. So they said they run the scholarship scheme, but it doesn't cover the likes of, say, the flights for them to go there or the stay for their family to be close, because they believe a lot of the time it affects the family too. So they want the family to sit in on the final stages. So that got to me, and I was like, well, maybe we can do that. We can pick up the tab when that happens, and we can pick up the tab if someone's insurance doesn't cover it, because I genuinely want to make sure that everybody is given the opportunity that we can possibly give them to go get the help they need, because they're at their most vulnerable. And a lot of the time when it's addictions within law enforcement through PTSD, because people turn to drink, they turn to prescription drugs, whatever, just as a crutch to get to survive day to day, and a lot of that too, you bring that home and then you're in debt, and the financials, cops are not making $1 million anyway, so I mean the financials are not there, so we want to make sure that they're given every opportunity to go get that help.
Hey,
some even smaller departments, they're not as good with their health care, and they're not as good with, like in the New York City Police Department, they tell you when you come on, go pick the high option rider for your health insurance in case you ever gonna have to go to the alcohol farm. It's covered.
Alcohol farm.
They tell you that while you're in the academy, pick the high option rider
because you're going there.
You look like a farmer one day.
Oh my god. But yeah, so that's it. We just really want to make sure. Pardon?
Oh, now I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
I said, isn't it ironic that somebody who's got a problem gets into a program, and as soon as they get the program, they're like telling their family that you can come and stay with them. Like, no, we're so happy we got rid of this freaking person.
He's gone. You can keep them. That's so funny.
You know how many people I went after and with a warrant, and I show them the thing, and I think I'm going to get some resistance, and then they lie to me. And they're like, no, he's upstairs. Please take him, please.
I can relate.
We have a big problem on the New York City Police Department with suicide.
Yeah.
And one of the big problems, it's sort of a catch-22, is that when an officer reaches out for help, if it's of a psychological nature, they take his or her guns away.
And that plays a massive impact on them. Like, yes. That's the worst thing. That's like stripping them of their identity, It's,
right.
That's horrible.
Also, it precludes them from making overtime. And it's of course, a big stigma. So in the last few years, there's been some line organizations, specifically there's an organization in the police department called PAPA.
I know them, yeah.
Yeah, they can, and it's a great organization, which they can go to the line organization and they handle it outside the department. And they're much better at handling it. And the police department, to their credit, has been trying to address some of these things. But no cop trusts the police department,
You see, this is the issue. I think this is the problem. And our website, like the website's still kind of in its infancy, but the whole thing, the purpose surrounding the website is basically to get people who has been through hell and back on there talking about how they managed to reach out for help, what they did, what the process was, how they felt in the run up to it, and getting the help and how they manage it. Because we want to try break down that stigma, you know.
Right.
But there's one organization who I went out to in Florida, and I loved, the reason why I loved them was because they have a program in place. So when an officer wants to reach out for help, rather than go to his peer and have to say, I'm addicted to drugs, I'm addicted to alcohol, I've PTSD or whatever, that's a massive thing for them to do. So they have this program in place, and they literally have to go into their boss and say, I need help. And straight away they're sent to the administrator's office, and they're the only people that they have to tell is them, because they then contact this center. The center takes over all the paperwork, make sure your job is secure. They make sure, you know, there's no fallback on you, and they convey with their peers at home once you've gone through the process. So I loved that aspect of things, because I think.
Beach?
Pardon?
Is that in Delray Beach?
Yes. Yeah.
I was looking at your website. I was like, I got a problem. I want to go to Delray Beach.
Oh my God! Do you want to see? I went to see the facility where people stay. I wanted to go stay there. It was unbelievable, unbelievable. It's honestly, it's better than anywhere I've been. But I love that program because, and I think if more treatment centers did that, I think the chances of people reaching out for that help would be far greater, because it's that, again, it's that stigma of how do you go and ask for help. But the more concerning thing for me as well is, and you'll see this a lot too, or you won't, you'll hear it on the grapevine sort of thing, is that cops who retire are also taking their own lives too.
Yes.
So there's something that needs to be done to prepare people for leaving, because this is this massive big thing. You could be in your job 20, 35 years, right? So these are your family, and you know no different. So it's like a grieving process. You're putting yourself off everything.
When I left, I was only sad for about 2 weeks.
Mark, I couldn't picture you sad.
Mark did that 20 and out, and he was like,
why? You know what? You think of the blue as your family.
Yes, yeah, right? Very much so.
I was tired. I wanted to get away because my family was crazy.
A dysfunctional family, but they love you.
Some of the jokes from the show, 20 and out. He's pulling them right out of the air. He had a comedy show called 20 and Out. It was about him doing 20 years and getting out.
Getting out.
It was great.
There is a show, or he's doing one.
No, I had a show.
You did it already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Once the COVID's over, I'm probably going to bring it back. But
yeah, too. Because you know what? I think laughter has a lot to do with it too. I think
20.
Everything is too serious now. Even even surrounding retirement.
We always say that cops are some of the funniest people on this
earth. They are.
Sense of humor, And
I love.
When we do comedy, we love cop audiences because they love cop humor.
I love cop humor. I absolutely love it. I love doing the ride-alongs. You've nothing but the best to crack with the ride-alongs. It's great fun. I've had the best times over there. The best times. Seriously, they're crazy, but they're great. You wouldn't have them any other way.
Do you go all over the United States with your organization?
Yeah, well, a lot of the time I did last year because of, obviously, for research purposes, but the whole idea is it will be nationwide, so we'll grow it as we go. So we have a chapter in Boston, we're registered in New York, but we will take it, it's baby steps. We literally only got our 501 Friday week, and so we were very cautious about, how hard we hit the fundraising scene and stuff. We wanted to wait till we were 100% compliant, so now it's game on. But we will be taking it across.
Get people to donate to police organizations and police funds now with all of the
it is. But then, having said all that, you have an awful lot of companies who's never lost that support for them, who even want to donate more now. So that's a good thing. It's kind of balancing itself out. But it's a difficult one. It's, you know, it's a very difficult one right now because you don't, with all this uncertainty in the run, and it is, call a spade a spade. It's in the run up to the election. It's the election that's causing all this trouble. And unfortunately, it's the cops who's made a scapegoat of. And it was the same 4 years ago. It was the exact same 4 years ago. So when November comes and goes, things will settle back down. But it's then, you know, we need to be on our game then, because that, I think personally, it's the calm before the storm for a lot of law enforcement officers right now, because they're out in the midst of it all. So they have this constant noise. They're out on the battlefield, so to speak, in a lot of cities across the country. Right. So they're constantly busy and trying to decompress when they go home, and then getting to it again the following day. And it's just a constant. But when that dies down and they have too much time to think, well, more time than they did have, that's the worrying time, because they're processing everything that's happened. And, you know, a lot of them not every cop is the same. I think there's two types of cops. There's cops like you who went into retirement and just, you know, shoot the breeze, and it was great. Sure. But there's a lot of people who's the opposite, where it really affects them. And that they're the ones to worry about. And the funny thing about it is they're always the fun ones, huh?
Amanda, I think we all, if you do 20 years or 25 years, even 15 years, I think we all have a level of PTSD, you know? Yeah,
I agree.
You show it in different ways, you know. You may have your own way of dealing with it, but I think all cops, we see horrendous stuff. We get put into horrendous situations. And
I could never be one.
I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night thinking of a horrible case I was on, you know? And
yeah, exactly.
That's part of PTSD, you know.
It is 100%. I could never be a cop. I freak out. If I see a dead body, I freak out. I can't even go see someone laid out. I'm a disaster.
I thought the Irish loved funerals.
I love the funeral. I don't like going to see them. And you have people and they're going, oh, don't they look lovely? You're going, no, they don't. They're dead. You know, but I could never see what you guys see, or be in the position or the dangers that you guys have been in, and not be able to, like, I wouldn't be able to live a normal life. I know I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. Yeah. So it is a calling. It's not just a career, it's a calling. Like, not everybody can do this. And everybody processes things in different ways and manages things in different ways.
Amanda, if the Montauk Brewing Company wanted to make a donation to you to make good for how bad they fucked up,
they won't, though. Did you hear about that story?
Just might. They're on their knees right now. They don't know what happened.
Did you
hear the best place for them? I did.
Yeah.
Now
they want to make amends now that they did the damage.
Don't they all? Like Goodyear is the same. Like Goodyear now is trying to wear Blue Lives Matter t-shirts, Thin Blue Line t-shirts. Like, you know, damn it.
I got my blue.
I love it.
My Miami Vice.
You Miami Vice. You Don Johnson.
I was going to substitute for a cop shirt. Look, I got the real blue line. He's wearing a 1970 Miami Vice shirt.
Miami undercover detective shirt.
Yeah, but you have to get the blazer now with the turn-ups on the sleeves, right? And the no socks in the shoes.
maybe we'll call Montauk Brewing Company and ask them to sign up for 10 levels of dipped in butter, and then we'll forgive
Dipped in butter, you tell them.
Buy 10 memberships at the dipped in butter level, and we'll forgive you.
Maybe.
Maybe not either.
Maybe not. I wouldn't.
So, Amanda, you wonder, how did the police become society's punching bag for all the ills of what's going on in society? When politicians run what's going on and politicians destroy cities, how come they're not the target of the ire of these groups?
That is the $1 million question. It's like, you know, cops were always, like, I've spoken, like, I have, my network of cops is unreal, right? And I always remember talking to a good friend of mine, Tim Griffin. He's the chief of police up there in New Jersey. And he was like, Amanda, he said, years ago in the 80s and the early 90s, he said, cops were respected even by the criminals. He said, you arrested some they were respectful to you. He says, not all the time, but some of them be respectful to you, and they knew the boundaries, and they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, man. You know, now it's just like, they're the villains. It's like, since when does law and order become the villain? It's like I can't wrap my head around it. Yeah. These people are criminals, you know. And when you even look, even I was only having this discussion last night. When you look at Black Lives Matter, right, and you go onto the website and you see this crazy lady that's running it, who was locked up for terrorism, right, gets a pardon, and she's running that organization. Then you have another gobshite, as we say. Yeah. You have another one that's working for that heads up a chapter in another state, is done for murder. And you're going, these are the people that you're giving billions of dollars to. And where's the billions of dollars going to? They're not going to restore communities. They're not going to educate Black people. They're not helping these people at all. Yeah. They're not. Yeah. You know, and it's wrong. If I was Black, I would be asking where the hell that money was going to, and why our communities are the way they are. That money is going to fund a campaign. When you click on Black Lives Matter, and I'm sure you've seen it, you click on where the donations are going to, it's going straight to the campaigns. You know, it's wrong. It's just downright wrong. And they're criminals. You know, it's just, you know,
you know what bothers us too, as former New York City cops, is that we know that the New York City Police Department could put down a riot in 15 minutes, but they're not allowed to do it.
Oh, so I know.
For us to sit there and take this abuse.
That's the thing.
Dismantle this riot in no time. And they have the talent, they have the ability, they have the know-how, but they're not allowed to do it.
If they were given the go-ahead, they would be in there. It would be like an express train, just boom, and they would be all just wiped out, and it would be back to normal.
Yeah.
The fact, arms, they would run.
That's right. As soon as they saw these half-hour pumped guns.
Mark, I don't know about your guns. I don't know about your guns, but Bill is a tank. I don't know about his guns, but you're a tank. You need to get in there and railroad them all. I don't know. I just can't see the wood for the trees when it comes to law and order being allowed to prevail. You know, I would love for Trump to go, right. Like, granted, nobody wants the National Guard to go in everywhere, but having said that, it's the right thing to do right now. Businesses are destroyed. This doesn't just affect people in general, you know, this is affecting businesses. Poverty, it's just increasing, more poverty after more poverty, and a lot of the time through that comes suicide, you know, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, everything else. So it's just it reminds me, I watched a documentary on New York in the 70s and the 80s. And it reminded me exactly of that. It was no law and order. Cops were being let go. Right. You know, and the streets it was chaotic. And that was all because of a dodgy mayor as well. So, you know, it's like history is repeating itself, but he is allowing this to happen, and that's just wrong. He should be, I think all of the governors and all of the mayors should have to pay the price for what's happened.
It's a perfect storm. In New York, at least, we have a horrible mayor, and the governor's no better. The governor
he's a waste of space.
Sides with the protesters / rioters, you know.
Yeah.
45 people shot this weekend, 6 homicides, something like that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
And you know you have but you have Schumer saying, you know.
Anyway, you know.
No, that's for sure. But then you have like Schumer saying that this is a myth, like that's not happening. Like, it's all hearsay. Where is he living? Under a rock?
People of color too. So, you know, where this Black Lives Matter is, you know, you want to handcuff police officers. I mean, we had an incident today in Wisconsin over here. So now they're rioting. It was last night. So now they're rioting. And so it brings you back to point one. You know, it's like you're never going to get away from another riot if you're going to riot every single time a cop shoots a Black person. You're not going to run. We're not keeping track of the other people. And the truth is, it's like, you know, we're talking about one incident in between, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks of thousands of contacts with people, as opposed to if you leave people just amongst themselves for a weekend, 6 to 10 people are going to die, 50 shootings.
Yeah.
That's if you don't have cops. If you do have cops and let them do their job, maybe there's going to be one controversial thing. Somebody didn't handle it right in the whole country, not in every single, not even in the state, in the city.
Yeah.
45 people shot, 6 people dead.
But you know, Mark, as well, like when you take into effect what's happened, like the thing that's kind of pissed me off some is because, see, this whole George Floyd thing, we all knew the background. We all know now the background of George Floyd and what have you. The fact that he was glorified, you know, and he was given the American flag. Like, so military die for that flag, right? So to me, that was just wrong. But aside from that, when you put all that to one side, I read the coroner's report on his death, and I seen the footage from the body cams. Why the hell didn't that come out before? Why wasn't the body cam footage released right at the beginning? Because it just escalated into this. They don't want to hear how bad George Floyd was. They don't want to hear that it wasn't the knee on the neck that killed him. You know, they just want to know it's the cops' fault. They want you to know it's the cops' fault. It's not the cops' fault. Granted, he should never have kept his knee on him for that amount of time. Having said all that, when you go back and you look at the footage, you're like, Jesus, you know, this coincides exactly with what was reported within his autopsy. So people, again, they don't want to hear facts. And I think people actually stopped, took a breath, you know, analyzed it from both sides and listened to the facts. I think people would have a far greater review on things than what blowing it up into this massive, chaotic, destructive war. You know what I mean? It's just
Amanda, it's gotten so crazy that when a cop is in a legitimate shooting where he's being shot at, and he wins the gunfight, they're still protesting.
They still protest. Look at the guys in Atlanta. He pulled the gun. He shot the gun back at them. I know it was a taser gun, but at the same time, that would have debilitated him for at least 10 seconds. Right. What could he have done to him within that 10 seconds?
Gun, which is what he probably would have done. You know?
Yeah, and he'd have killed him. So but people are very quick to judge instead of taking the time and saying, and it's the same with bloody politics. It's like, if you stop and you just actually listen and look at both sides of things, you'll have a better understanding of what's going on.
Well, the week before, the DA called the taser a deadly weapon. And then when the cop...
Exactly, and then when the cop happened...
The cop, it was no longer a deadly weapon. You know?
But where's the DA now?
Yeah, the DA he got voted out, which is...
I know, thank God. But it just shows you, like...
You know, the Michael Brown case in Missouri.
Yeah.
The heads up, don't shoot, which never, ever happened.
I know.
The physical evidence proved that the cop told exactly the truth, and Michael Brown was lying.
But they don't want to know about that, you know? They don't.
want to hear about that because those are facts. They still paid Michael Brown's family millions of dollars.
Don't even get me started on that. You know?
And maybe Montauk Brewery paid this sense of they sent a few kegs.
ACAB.
Montauk Brewery.
Maybe they call a new beer.
Butter memberships.
Butterballs. Go butter your balls. Oh Lord. I can't help but think like that. That's the Irish mind.
Now that you're an official, 501?
Yeah.
What are you planning now? Are you going to expand? You're going to grow bigger? You're going to help more?
We will. But I'm very much of the mind, like we could easily grow it really fast, as in go to different states and what have you. But I'm very much of the consensus of make sure your foundations is 100%, you know, in your mission and what you want to do, and make sure that you have the right people on board and to support you. Because a lot of nonprofits, as I'm learning, it's very funny to watch it all unfold, but there's an awful lot of nonprofits out there who are now under the spotlight for wrong dealings, and I want to make sure that we're not that. So we baby steps.
Done dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Done dirt cheap.
Exactly. So I want to make sure.
Now, is this your full-time job?
Yeah, I've been doing it full time for the last year and a half. I do everything, like everything.
What did you do before that?
I was a hairdresser for 22 years.
Wow. Could you
Yeah.
cut Mark's hair?
Of course I will.
New York? You could say he's using the hairspray and the Grecian Formula 44. See, I have all the gray. I don't dye my hair. He's got to have some Grecian Formula 44 in there.
Of course he does. Get a little fade out.
Oh, he has a little on the side because he doesn't want to get totally accused of.
You're rocking it though. You're rocking it. It kind of suits you though, funny enough. It does.
On Patreon, you can see a video of Bill and I the first time we worked together, and he actually had darker hair.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it wasn't that long ago. It was like 6 years ago.
That's right.
It was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, but a lot can happen in 7 years.
I got a new hip last year, so shit, I didn't have the new hip 7 years ago either.
There you go. You're like the bionic man.
Yeah, now trying to get up off the chair, I gotta be like, oh.
Hey, it's gonna happen to all of us.
My father used to get out of the chair and be like, grab my hands, and you pull them out of the chair, you know. I don't want to do that to my boys, but those years are coming, you know.
They are.
That's another thing. But I mentioned I have two sons, Jake and Casey. Jake's 25, 26, I guess he's gonna be. He didn't join my Patreon, so I'm shouting out right now, Jake. Part with $7 a month for the bucket level. I paid $150,000 for his college and won't pay $7 to join for a month.
He has no choice now.
You guys can't imagine that college costs that much in Ireland, right?
Oh no, college is very different here.
It's
Very
free in
different.
Ireland, right?
It's free education. Yeah, it's all free. The most expensive part is like your digs where you go to stay. It depends on which college you go to. And you can't go.
The flat. I love those European words for an apartment. The digs, the flat. Would you like to come to my flat?
Now it's the gaff. The gaff.
I loved when if you listen to Van Morrison, he says, when you brush your shoes, stand before the mirror, and you comb your hair, grab your coat and lout. Those are all Irish words. Merle is mirror and lout is hat. But how are we supposed to know it living in America?
I know.
That, right?
When I started all this 4 years ago, obviously, like now I talk slower. You know what we're like over here. We talk 90 to the dozen, right? So, but because I was doing what I'm doing, everyone was like, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? And you're like, I now know to slow down my words. It's like a natural thing now. But if at the beginning, I'd be saying like words like crack, and they'd be going, crack? What's crack? You know, or even if I spelled something, they'll say, oh, you spelled that wrong. And I'd be like, no, I spelled it the Irish way, not the American way. You know what I mean? So it's funny. We needed like a little dictionary for people.
You guys have a lot of your own words, though, too.
We do, a lot of slang, and even how you pronounce words towards us, even though they're the same words. You know, it's like, what's the ones now? Sheriff said to me the other day, oh my God, what was it? It was something I was like, oh God, I can't think of it now. Not the impeachment process, but there was a word around that for Trump. Oh, I can't think of it. It'll come back to me. But the way he said it, I was like, you do what now? He was like, what?
Also, the way you guys spell, like the name Patrick, you guys spell it P-A-D-R-A-I-G. Like, where did that come from?
No, it's P-A-T.
Oh, I've seen it spelled Padrig, like P-A-D-R.
Godric. That's the Irish language for it.
And then
yeah,
the name Liam is really from William. It's
William. That's right. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
I'm Bill, so
You're Bill.
My name is William. You know, because
William.
in Ireland they call Liam, right? William.
That's right. My son's second name is Liam, because his grandfather's name is William. So yeah.
Wow.
It's funny.
Ask Mark his name. He's not Irish, but ask him his name.
Marcus, tell me.
What is it?
What is it?
Say it again.
Banex.
It keeps breaking up. It keeps breaking up.
Mayo Banex.
Mayo Banex?
Yeah, it's an Indian name.
Really?
Yeah, my father was named me after an Indian.
Oh, you're named after an Indian?
Yeah.
His last name is Sanchez.
The Indian was
he
he was
Americanized his name, Mark
You
DeMeo.
did. You,
the
yeah,
Indian,
this is a wind up, right?
no, the Indian was indigenous to Dominicas, and
Oh,
he was very brave because he tried to kill some Spaniards, but then they caught him and they beheaded him.
yeah.
He burnt the fort down. He burnt the.
Are we taking him serious or not?
It's a true story.
Oh, it is?
True Dominican story. Mayawanex and this other guy, Guadiawanex, they burnt the fort down, a Spanish fort in the Dominicas, because they had gotten conquered and the Spaniards were leaving. They were leaving just behind the women that they had that they had children with and some soldiers. And he burnt the fort down. But then they went. Then they caught him in the mountains and they beheaded him.
Wow.
Which is kind of ironic because I'm the biggest coward you'd ever meet in your life. So
Yeah, yeah.
Stand-up comedy.
It takes guts to. I could never. I can't tell a joke. I'm terrible. I'm the worst Irish person to ever walk the planet.
so 25 jokes when you were out with us.
I'll become accustomed to it. It'd be peace
Oh,
out.
Amanda, Mark's actually a great comic. He's been doing it for like 23 years. He's really funny.
Really?
And he could do 45 minutes to an hour like that without batting an eye. I've only been doing it 6 years, so I'm not in his league, but it's
Those
really
are good jokes.
it's very tough, man. It's very,
Will has good jokes.
Yeah, I often look at people, you know, when they go out there on the stage and they're heckled. I'd be like, I would just actually coil into a ball and die right there. You wouldn't get me out on the stage to begin with, like, but I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you
you
do
know,
it.
want to hear my put down to a heckler?
What was that?
Say, sir, do you like birds? And say, you know, just say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever take a cockatoo? And that shuts the guy up right there.
If he answers you, yeah, you've got to worry.
Well, who's gonna say no? I hate birds. You know.
Well, that's true. Cockatoo.
Mark, do you have any good put downs for hecklers?
It depends on who the heckler is. I just look at you.
Yeah.
I have a knack for looking at you and seeing what's wrong with you physically in 1 second, and I'll just pick it apart.
Oh, and you pick the guy apart.
That's an Irish thing to do. That is.
You know, they used to say that about the police department. They said, God forbid on the police department you have any kind of an affliction, a stutter, you got a spot, anything you live. If you stutter, all of a sudden you're like, duh, 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 duh. You know, people are unforgiving. They destroy.
It's not for the faint-hearted. But that's what I mean. We've lost our ability to laugh at ourselves. You know what I mean? We have. I miss that because Irish people in general, you'll know this from being here. We absolutely tear each other apart.
Yeah.
Giving someone a compliment is giving them an insult. You know what I mean? That's just the Irish way. Yeah. It is the Irish way.
It's fun though, sort of. I mean, that's, you know, they make precinct station houses or like clubhouses. Well, they are in a way because you're with each other more than you're with your family.
Exactly.
There has to be an interaction, and there's got to be a lot of humor, and some of it's, you know, busting balls, you know.
Yeah. But I think that's why I get on so well in the cop world, like, is because Irish people are very similar like that in general. Like, it's a natural thing with us. So I wouldn't take offense. I'm not, you know, I'm thick-skinned. I'm very thick-skinned.
But do you like birds?
Well,
I couldn't resist that one. That was
I left myself wide open for that.
perfect setup. I didn't even need to get that joke off.
I'll get you back. I'm telling you.
So, do you do much work with Irish Angel in Ireland?
Pardon?
You do much work with your organization?
No.
None
The
in
funny thing about, again, the Irish police here is it really kind of bugs me a bit because we're holier art thou about our police force. It's nearly like cloak and dagger, right? You don't talk about what goes on in it. You don't talk about anything. Everything that is released is through the Garda press office. And they do not let outsiders in. They just don't. It doesn't matter whether your family is in law enforcement or not, or even if you were in law enforcement within Ireland. They're very fickle like that. It's very strange. And, you know, it bothers me because we do have suicides within our law enforcement agencies here. Last year we had 15 deaths. And given the size of this country and the size of our police force, that's a lot. But again, it's just kind of, it's brushed under the carpet, you know. And the stigma for reaching out for that help is really difficult here too, because we're very much old school, is in the sense of put on your big boy pants and get on with it, you know. Now it's slightly changed now. We have a new police commissioner in who's doing some great changes, but they're a little slow, I think, to evolve, but we're getting there. But the Port Authority Police in New York, I'm very good friends with Paul Nunzito. He's head of the PBA there, and we were talking, he wants to give some steel to Ireland from 9/11. So that's constructed into a Celtic cross. But even like the police here wanted that to happen, but they didn't want me involved. And Paul said, without Amanda, this isn't happening. So, you know, so that's got to happen. So they wanted, but like that was a year ago. Was it a year ago? A year ago we had that meeting, and I'm still waiting on an appointment to go in to see the police to make that happen.
Do you believe that 9/11 was 19 years ago this September?
No, isn't that insane?
Yeah.
It feels like it was yesterday, honest to God.
And you
For
heard
people
what was
who still
happening in the city with the politics, right? They were trying to cancel the ceremony of the lights.
I know. I was fuming over that.
My union, the SBA, said, then we'll sponsor it. We don't need the state or the city to sponsor it. We'll sponsor it. And then the I think I forget the other charity, but they offered to cover it too. And all of a sudden, the state and the city were like, oh, no, we'll back. You know, once their balls shriveled up, they
Exactly.
You know.
But you know, 4 years ago as well, there was this around the same time again in the run up to the election. I always remember, because as I was learning as I was going along about America and everything that was happening there, and particularly what's happening in New York. And I guess I will never know the impact of 9/11 like you guys will know the impact. And to me, it's something that's etched in my brain. And I make my kids watch them documentaries every single year, so it's etched in their brains, even though they didn't live through it. Yeah. Because it's something I think we need to remember. It needs to be a constant remembrance of those people.
Still suffering from that. Both
exactly, and dying from it. They're still dying from it, you know. But I remember, and this was the 4 years ago in the run up to the elections, the mayor in New York had said that he wanted to have a national Muslim day in the city of New York and have a parade. And right. I was like, listen, we're all entitled to our own religions, but given what happened, I just think that was the wrong sentiment to give out. Right. And that triggered to me just how much disconnected they are from what happened, you know. And you can never disconnect from that like I've been down to ground zero, and I've been into to see the museum, and it's the most gut-wrenching thing. Like, it's very solemn. It's very, from the moment you walk in, you know, you're hit with this, I can't even describe it, you're overcome with everything. But I think that should always be the case. Yeah. You should never forget that, ever, you know.
Amanda, our last guest was this guy, Pete Panuccio, retired sergeant, just retired like 2 weeks ago. He did 39 years, and he came so close to death on 9/11. He was actually inside the building when it came down.
Oh my God.
And how he was able to get through that. He got a little bit choked up telling the story, which, I mean, I don't blame him. But yeah,
I can't comprehend it. Like, I just couldn't, you know, what the guys go through. And even every year when it comes around, that time comes around, you know, I spoke to Paul and to the guys from Port Authority Police, and seeing the emotions to them. And when we were having that conversation, just like you could tell, it's still so raw. Even though it's 19 years ago, it doesn't feel that way to them. That's always going to be etched in their minds and their hearts, you know, and to have people who disrespect the memory of it by wanting to do stuff like that, that's just wrong to me.
Right.
It's wrong.
You know,
Maybe
I used to teach
I'm
college.
wrong. What was that?
I used to teach college when I first retired, and I brought my classes to Ground Zero to take, you know, a look at the memorial.
Yeah.
A bunch of the kids were really upset, you know, to see the memorial, and they all got so excited when they pulled up my name and they saw I was a first responder. They were like, "Oh, Professor, you look, here's your name." I was like, "Oh."
But I think that's
I was
great.
picking up 100 pounds of cement with rebar in it and just throwing it like that.
But I think that's great that you did that, because that needs to happen. I think that needs to happen with kids. They need to the reality of what happened to show that, you know, this destroyed not just your country, but it had an impact on everybody in the world. Like, it wasn't just a case of Americans dying.
Yeah, it was very, very powerful memorial too, you know.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Oh, I couldn't believe it. You'd need to spend a whole day there, because, you know, when you go to a museum, you kind of get bored of something, you move on to something else, and what have you. You don't there. It's just, you just stand there and you take it all in, and it's breathtaking in a you know, in a way that's not a beautiful way, but it's like, it's just something you need to experience. I think everybody needs to go there and experience that, and remember why we do what we do, why we fight, you know, for freedoms. And the fact that now people want to take that away, then their deaths are in vain. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You can't do that. So
Well, you see how
I find it.
they did a backpedal when they were saying we're not going to have the ceremony of the lights because of COVID. All of a sudden they were like, "Oh, but
COVID.
we're going to have the MTV Awards though, right?" But they didn't want to have, you know, but they backpedaled. So
Yeah, they had no choice. Like, people were outraged over it. They were outraged over it. And it was amazing to see everybody come together and fight to have that happen. I mean, like, how difficult is it, like, to have a group of people go turn on some lights? You know what I mean?
not too difficult.
It's beggars belief to me. It just, I don't, you know, it's double standards on everything. If it was something that was to represent another organization or whatever, it'd be no problem. Let's go ahead and do that. But
You
not
know,
when it's
one of the things about your accent is Irish people always say things like it's a question. There's double standards on everything.
It's true though.
It's almost like
We
you ask a
do.
question.
Answer a question with a question. Now we're answering a full question.
They're politicizing this the COVID at their leisure. So you watch basketball. The players are sweating all over each other, droplets flying everywhere, no masks. The referees also sweating, also sharing droplets, no masks. Coaches, the players on the bench, the cardboard cutouts, nobody's wearing a mask. But there's one guy in the studio somewhere far away by himself wearing a freaking mask to tell you the world.
It's true though.
They're politicizing the COVID for when it's appropriate for them. If they can squash a conservative idea or opinion, protest, whatever, no, it's the COVID. And anything else, you want to come and sing a song right in front of everybody on MTV? Yeah, it's available. No, come.
No problem. No. Yeah, it's double standards. And even here, like, we didn't have the mask thing till about 2 weeks ago. And that drives me insane. I can't wear them. I just can't wear them. I start to freak out because the heat and it's just nasty to me. I just don't like them.
Claustrophobic, right?
So make sure you
Yeah, I am a freak. I get agitated. I'm like, oh, just get me out of here. Like, but
No,
and I avoid the stores now. I don't go near them unless it's a necessity. I just don't go near them.
But you have some old person telling you, "Where's your mask?"
yeah.
But the funny thing is, right? We went all of this time. So you're talking about March time. So from March onwards, we went all this time with no mask.
Mm-hmm.
No mask. And now all of a sudden we have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
This lady must have been
why?
100 years old. 100 years old. I was dining outside. You're allowed to dine for some reason outside in the street I was having a beer without a mask. And I stood up to let somebody else come next to me. I wasn't even outside of where's your mask? 100 years old. I said, lady, how long do you want to live? What more do you want? How long do you want to go? You and your stroller. Why are you out here right now anyway?
But you know what I find is funny? You just made a good point. They say to you, you could sit outside with no mask, right? Well, in Ireland, you can go into a restaurant with no mask. You can go into a pub with no mask, but you have to buy at least €9 worth of food or you're thrown out, right? That's just the way it is.
That's
so
great.
it's ridiculous. It's double standards for everything. So it's like, you can have 20 people, no, what is it? You can have 15 people in your house, but you can't have more than, I think it's 15 people if you're having a party in your house. I think it's something like that. I could be wrong. I think it's less. I think it's 6 people. It's 6 people in your house, right? But you can go into a venue and have a wedding with 50 people, right? With no masks. I'm like,
we made it up as we went along. There's no rhyme or reason. If you're died of Corona during the peak, you didn't get a chance to say goodbye. You got a chance to stand across the street from the cemetery and wave as the limousine went by with your loved one in it. But for this guy who died, the senator, congressman, that guy, everybody was allowed in, no mask. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, it is. It's all bullshit. Everything is a contradiction. It's all a contradiction of like rules. They set these rules up and then there's a contradiction to the rule, to each individual rule. And you're just like, why? There's no logic to it. If you're going to make the mask compulsory, you make it compulsory. If you're going to lock people down, lock them down. Don't say you can go here with 50 people, but you can't have more than 6 people in your house. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I can't wait for it to be over. Come November, this will be done.
Amanda, do you go to church?
Of course, it's done.
No, I don't go to church. I have my faith. I'm still Catholic. But it's funny. I'm Catholic. Catholic. Yeah, but here, when all the scandals came out about the churches and stuff, people stopped going to mass here. So now we have like one parish priest does like 3 different parishes, and the churches are no longer open.
Is that because of the pedophile scandal?
Yeah. So no one goes.
There was a couple of years ago, 10 years ago maybe, there was a priest who was arrested for being a pedophile, and his name was Hands. What an appropriate name for a pedophile.
Are you serious?
Can't make that name up,
But they want to arrest Creepy Joe as well. I've been seeing them videos.
Oh, getting too political here. Show them that.
My son is 12.
That's a bigger problem in Ireland than it is.
Yeah, it was huge here. But not even just the priests. There was the whole episodes with the laundry rooms, the nuns here as well. Plus the babies, like unmarried mothers would go and have their babies, and their babies would be taken away. They'd be sold to America. A lot of the times it was American people that come over and bought the babies. But then there was other babies that weren't sold. And then only about 3-4 years ago, they found at the back of a convent area, they found a burial ground, and
that was Tomb, right? Was it called Tomb?
Yeah. They found a serious amount of.
I read, New York Times did a whole big investigative report on that. And
it was huge. It was a huge scandal. Yeah. So people, it's really sad because we've lost our being able to go to church, and I miss that aspect. It's only when you get older you kind of miss it more. It was different when I was younger. It was like I used to dread going to mass. Your mother would make you go to mass. Put on your Sunday best, go to mass. And I used to dread it. Because like it was, kids wanted to be kids, and I did that right up to the point where we lost my brother in '93, and it was around that time that all that sort of stuff started to leak out. And ever since that, it's just the church has just dwindled, and it's such a shame because we were such a Catholic country.
Yeah.
And again, we have like you probably know this from being over here, we never really had immigrants till about 20 years ago or so. So it was either Protestant or Catholic, predominantly Catholic in this country. So now you have all these other churches popping up all over the place, and everybody goes to them. Everybody goes to them. We have one of the biggest mosques in Europe in Dublin, not too far from me. It's up the road from me. But yet we don't, as a nation, go to our own. It's just beggars belief why we don't. You know, it's sad. I think the church needs to change. It needs to.
Yeah, I think so.
You know.
I think so. You know.
Yeah.
I think you go to Dunkin' Donuts rather than the church.
Exactly.
My mother was hardcore Irish, and I had to at least fake that I was at church. So
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah, so I go to Dunkin' Donuts and try to drink a couple of coffees and have some donuts, and then it's only a half hour. I got 15 more minutes I gotta kill.
Well, my mother used to make sure that we were seen. She'd asked our neighbours if we were there, so we would go to mass, had me go in and say hello to everybody else, grab the pamphlet from the church, and then shoot off out, and then we go home. I swear to God, Ma was at mass.
My mother used to say, "What was the gospel about?" And my older brother said, "All about God, Mom." Which was a great answer, you know, for someone that was in the church.
We're going for an hour and 20 minutes. I think should we be wrapping it up now?
We gotta start wrapping it up. I feel like we could talk to you all night. Yeah.
I know, right? I just have to come back.
Yeah, hours. They don't have good wine in Ireland, though. You know?
What's that?
They don't have good red wine in Ireland.
No, the wine is. I'm not a big wine.
They have to import it from like Chile and all these other. Why don't
Chile? Yeah, Chile's good. Italy. I love a Californian wine. There was a wine.
That's why. I miss it.
There was a wine, because I'm not a big wine drinker, but there's a wine that they used to sell here till about 2 years ago, and when I found out that we're discontinuing it, I was like something possessed. I went around every store and I bought up cases of it. But they don't sell it here anymore. It's that Sutter Home Zinfandel, but it's a rose.
What do you use? Crack. What do you use that in reference to?
Oh, crack! It's like fun. It's the banter. It's like having a laugh.
Oh, okay. Now, all right.
Yeah.
Made a crack.
Have a bit of crack. I wonder if that's where they got the name. Maybe they got the name for crack cocaine from Ireland.
Crack.
You never know. But, yeah, you have the crack.
Do you want to plug anything before we go off?
Yes, 2 things really quick. We have 2 events ongoing right now. We have the Dusk Till Dawn Challenge, which we just did a soft launch, and we'll be doing a bigger launch in the near future. But it's basically where you walk from darkness into light. It literally costs $5 to participate. You nominate 5 people, a bit like the Ice Bucket Challenge, and you walk or run 5 kilometers into sunlight. So we encourage people to take pictures of their sunrise and stuff, because obviously because of COVID, we can't have mass gatherings, so we can't have a big run. So you can do it on your own time, and then by you sending us your pictures of the sunrise and stuff, it lights social media up to show those in darkness that, you know, where there's people out there rooting for them and supporting them. So that's number 1, which you can find on our website. And number 2, we have an auction coming up in 2.5 weeks, September 12th, which will be live on Facebook. And Darren Porter, Dr. Darren Porter, is coming on to do that with us. And yeah, that's going to be a bit of banter. You guys you should come on. You definitely should come on. I think we need to make it a little bit longer and get you guys on.
Yeah. Some of our jokes. I'll ask
exactly.
Birds.
Exactly. It's a cockatoo. But yeah, no, so that's gonna happen in a couple of weeks. But again, the funds that we raise is so important to be able to help those who are in crisis, you know, to get the help that they need.
That's what we're all about on the Police Off the Cuff.
Yeah.
Our goal is to help people, but we also want to help ourselves.
Yeah, that's a fact. Which is why you need to get your butterballs.
Go to Butterballs.
Butterballs. That's a new. I think you should rename it.
Yeah, Butterballs is good, Bill.
I
think you should rename it. Butterballs is better.
Butterballs, chicken butter.
What do you got, Mark? You got anything?
No. Just if you're a fan, you enjoyed this show, if you enjoyed any of the shows that we've done, please, put together a couple of shekels. If you got to do the bucket thing, you do the bucket thing,
Yeah.
If you want to polish Bill's rack, you could do that. But we highly recommend.
Who picked these names, lads? Who picked them? Between the rack and the balls. I don't know. I was like, what? I love it.
You want to polish Bill's rack. But we highly recommend the Butterballs.
Get your head out of the car. Oh, you two are guys.
Patreon, just check it out. Look around. We're filling the wall up with some really fun stuff. I put some old comedy gigs on there, some TV stuff that I've done. I'm going to add some more. I'm going to add my my weekly, what happened in law enforcement this week. And Bill's got his true crime stories. Plus, we're going to be putting up episodes on there first. You're going to get firsthand chance to watch the episodes. So, so that's it, man. Please check it out, man.
Well, and I'll share the hell out of it across all my networks as well, because they'll love it.
On Police Off the Cuff After Hours, we have retired NYPD Chief Edmund Hartnett, another Irishman, who was also the Yonkers Police Commissioner. And he's going to give his take on everything that's happening right now. And he also wants to talk about, the chiefs that knelt down and how he feels about that. And he's also going to talk about this new product called Bowler Wrap, where it's a non-lethal device where you could shoot. Actually, Mark got shot with it, and it wraps a rope around you. And
really, I've seen it, but you actually got shot with it.
Twice he got shot with it. Yeah.
Is it sore?
He said it hurt too.
Yeah. Well, it'll definitely get your attention.
Yeah.
It just whacks around you, right?
Yeah.
It's got fish hooks.
Isn't it funny? Because I was only talking to a friend of mine is a cop in, where is he? I think he's in Illinois, I think. But anyway, he owns a gun store as well. But he's working for this other company as well, who's created this, the way you have the pepper spray.
Yeah.
And pepper spray can it can go out once you spray it. It kind of goes about within 10 feet or whatever. Where this is a gel. So it literally only goes where you're putting it. So everybody is kind of restructuring how they might help law enforcement, given the defunding and how now the training has to, which is it's ridiculous, by the way.
That they're trying to get rid of. They try to take away all your weapons, but yet they're creating these non-lethal weapons now. Like you said, the gel that can hit one person. That's interesting. Yeah,
it's great. It is. From what he told me, he sent me the video of it as well. I haven't had a chance to look at him.
Amanda, we invented a very special bucket full of butter.
The butter balls.
Protest. But we got to actually shove the person in the bucket. So it's,
Oh, wouldn't that be great if you could actually do that? Be great. Big, hot, wet bucket of butter. Oh, be great.
All right, so Amanda, where can we go to get for whatever we need? If you're law enforcement, military, first responder, where do they go? Irish Angel, tell us where they go.
Yeah, literally just log on to irishangel.org. Reach out to us there. We have resources as well on the page. We're growing the resources end of things. Hopefully we'll have like a little map of America where people can click on their areas, and it will bring to the resources that's around them. Again, we have a structure in place that the resources can reach out to us. Once they make contact with the resource center, they can reach out to us, and then we can help in that way financially for them. So, but we have, like I said, there's a lot of content on there of people having their videos up talking about their experiences, because I think it's great if people are on there and they see the emotion in somebody and it resonates with you more, it resonates better. So if you want to go on, take a look. You might be experiencing the same as what these guys did, and you can reach out to us there.
And then you got the midnight thing. What is it? To the morning there where you take a picture of the sun?
Yeah, the Dusk Till Dawn challenge. Everything is on our events page. So if you just click onto the events, plus we have
Mark does that every night, but he goes into a bar and it's late. He comes out and it's dark.
I'm gonna post up.
What was that? You broke up.
I said Mark does that every night. He goes into a bar and it's late, and he leaves and it's dark.
I just came in on the end of that. You completely broke up. I just heard he goes into the bar when it's dark. He comes out when it's bright.
So now you saw it was funny.
Are you sure you're not Irish, Mark?
Well, let me ask you something. When Mark and I show up in Temple Bar in Dublin, are we going to be like celebrities or what?
Yeah, you will. If you guys come over here, we're not going to Temple Bar. I'll take you to the real
The real upscale bars.
Yeah, nah, they're no fun. They're just a fun. People are all pretentious and all in them. You don't want to be in them. You want to go where the crack is.
I work on the Irish accent.
Walker, you're not doing bad. It's not bad.
Well, on behalf of Police Off the Cuff After Hours, I just want to give you a special thank you, Amanda Coleman. You got a heart of gold. You have a great sense of humor. You're exactly what we need in society, anywhere, wherever you live. We need Amanda Colemans to come out.
Yeah, old charmer, yeah.
No, we do. We need people to be vocal about their support of the first responders.
Yeah.
Not just law enforcement. They're talking about taking money away from EMS too. So yeah. So thank you so much for your help. Thank you for everything that you're doing. We're here for you. Anything that any way we can help you. Being in New York, if you need something done, somebody's giving you a hard time, Bill with his guns will go over there.
Bill's a tank. He's a tank. He don't need no guns. He's got a big butter. No, a big bucket of butter.
Bill, last year he does the spin classes. He does Zumba. Last year he won a Zumba contest.
I'd stop it. You didn't know.
I do take spin too.
Jeez. You're putting me to shame.
I put on some weight during this epidemic, this pandemic. All you was home and eating all the time, you know.
But this is it. This is it. I'm like a big butterball. I am. Happy grand.
Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Amanda delivered. Visit the Irish Angel. Show your support for Irish Angel, for the Police Off the Cuff Patreon. Share your wealth, man. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a good night, Amanda.
Bye, Amanda.
You too. Love you guys. Bye. Bye-bye.